Therapy. Stop by today to see everything they have to offer, including a full-service CBD American Shaman store. Start your journey at LeewoodTotalWellness.com. Life is better with the feather.
When the unexpected comes calling, bounce forward with Comcast Business. Bounce forward fast with internet speeds up to a gig. And bounce forward with the flexibility to update your bandwidth in just a few clicks. Get started with a reliable internet and voice solution from Comcast Business, starting at $64.90 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Call or go online today. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits per second service and 1 voice line. Early termination fee applies. Equipment installation taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Call for details.
Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
Super Bowl 55, Sunday at 5 p.m. on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City. Isn't this a sports show?
You know this about me. I love the goofs and the ha-has. And that, frankly, should be the name of this show. I love the goofs and the ha-has.
Almost entirely.
I think for me, anything that's like, oh, cringe comedy, my general inclination is to step away from that. But this sounds much smarter than I was afraid it would be.
Your whole brand is cringe comedy, Josh.
That's fair.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
That was a upsetting sound that I had to make with my mouth.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I don't know that this was worth a party popper or not, but it's finally Super Bowl week, so we can celebrate that. Happy Monday. It feels both like a Super Monday and a Friday. It feels like the Super Bowl is still a month away and like it should be here tonight. A lot going on around these parts, a lot of excellent things. I'm very excited to continue looking forward to the Super Bowl with you over the next couple hours of Almost Entirely Sports tonight. First, I'll tell you that the show I just got back from doing, the reason that, yes, I am slightly sweaty and barely got here back in time, is because of a very neat show we just did out at Chapel's Restaurant, Bar, and Sports Museum up north in Kansas City. It's up on the podcast pages now if you go to additional programming or the Almost Entirely Sports podcast feed. Beards, I appreciate that you podcasted it. It also does sort of baffle me that we've been doing shows together for like 3 years and you still haven't learned the format that I use to podcast things. It's just sort of like it's one of those I'm not mad, it's kind of amazing thing. Why is the first part of the description 2/1?
The date.
That's never where the date goes.
I know.
Just any number of context
But it's not
clues.
Almost Entirely Sports, so I didn't use normal Almost Entirely Sports
That's
formatting.
bull bleep. That's bull bleep. You also could have put, I don't know, Bobby Bell or Bill Moss in the title of the podcast.
I didn't want to be redundant. I was putting it in the description as well.
I think I'm off center on the Facebook. So I can move. Nope, this way. Beards, I say this lovingly and also truthfully. This is one of those hard truths that I just think you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. You are really, really good at large portions of your job. Really good. And then there are other portions of the job that it just sort of feels like you haven't quite gotten to yet.
I'll point out this.
It's like an 80-20 split.
We had this whole discussion last week when I got back on Friday about where the video camera was formatted, where it was set. We had to make sure the H in house was at the corner.
Yeah.
It's there,
no, it's
and
not.
You're complaining
Flip
about
back to it. There's space around the house. There's space. Rudy's nodding. Rudy knows. Listen,
There is.
Beards, you have a really good ear for audio and a really crappy eye for framing things. It's okay.
Okay, well, in the program window I have in here, it is perfectly where it should be.
If you want in on the visual joke that's currently happening right now, you can watch the show live on the Sports. You can watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook page, Twitch channel, and YouTube. See, there you go. That's a little too much headroom on the mannequin there, Beards. Well, this is just going to be a whole thing today, I imagine. It's fine. It's all right.
I just look at Beards like, Ryan Tannehill. Sometimes it takes 8 years to learn how to play quarterback. But hey, it's pretty good.
I'm just updating the title to include the phrase Bobby Bell and Bill Moss, just so the people know what Chiefs Legends is, So if you watch the show on the video feeds, you're getting a very good visual gag.
It's great.
It's pretty good. But if you're just listening, then we'll do some radio. We'll talk about the Super Bowl, and I really, it's very, very different.
All right, we're gonna do this live.
Framing it?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Can I keep talking about what the show I just did and
Sure,
everything?
go
And
ahead.
then, okay.
Do your thing. Don't mind me.
I wish I couldn't. Wish I could. The H should be touching the top and edge, I believe. It makes
Then the program display windows that I have are incorrectly framed.
That's probably possible. I don't know.
So I have to rely on the other window that I have. Okay, how's that? Is that better?
No. There's nothing you could do to make it better at this point. The harm has been irreparably done. It's very different than your currently scheduled Almost Entirely Sports, but I really couldn't recommend the Chiefs Legends show enough. Again, it's up on the Almost Entirely Sports podcast page if you missed it. Chapels is extremely, extremely cool. I had not been out there before. It was very neat, as was getting to talk to Bobby Bell and Bill Moss and Jim Chappell. The Bobby Bell and Jim both had a series of fabulous Lamar Hunt stories. I don't want to spoil the punchline, but Bobby Bell's has a very, very good one. It was just great fun, and then to also get, again, the two of them telling some of their stories, to have Bobby and Bill talk about what they're expecting from the Super Bowl. We talked about Patrick Mahomes a lot, which I know is relevant to many of your interests. I also met a couple of listeners, including one who I am now Pokemon Go friends with, who is the guy who texted in to say that Rudy sounds like Bullwinkle from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Also, hey, Rudy, is there a reason that the Twitch stream says it's Chiefs press conferences from the 28th of January?
They must have been updated from somebody. What's today? Say the
first.
So
today's
from
February
yesterday.
1st.
Yeah, somebody used our Twitch yesterday. Because we streamed the
press
No,
conference.
not yesterday. Not yesterday.
A couple days ago. It's fine.
Or
This show's gotten very self-involved
I got
today,
mixed
even
up
more
on-
so than usual at the beginning.
Yeah. The days are all blending in right now. So from Friday?
Basically, we need to tell Allie to leave our damn Almost Entirely Sports feed alone.
It doesn't. She didn't use Almost Entirely Sports.
Oh.
Twitch is all on the one feed, member.
Is this your fault then?
I mean, I just didn't know it was used.
Can we blame Beards for it?
Yeah, sure.
Beards!
It's an easy fix.
What took you so long to notice?
Our Twitch feeds, though, because the link, there's not a special link for each video.
That's true.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So even though it says Almost Entirely Sports,
We'll
like
have a
in
stern-
my stream title.
Of a
it
stern
obviously
talking
doesn't.
to with Allie. Gotta take only memories, leave only footprints on our Twitch caster.
I was going to say leave $5.
That would be fine. Take only memories and maybe garbage.
Leave only enough money for an order of fried chicken.
Yeah, and leave Beards some petty cash. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna scoot over farther so I can center myself in the video. It's a weird thing that you have this blindness too, Beards. It's a very strange blindness, but it's fine. We're all good here.
It's fixed.
Everything's fine. Well, I've moved.
No, I mean, the Almost Entirely Sports thing. You being framed, that's a lost cause.
Yeah, I just need to stop looking at it, I think, and just sort of let it fly.
At some point,
Stop worrying about it.
At some point, you just have to take the L.
I learned to do that from Beards a long time ago. Beards is taking notes, which he uses to put, in the file what we've talked about. And I'm guessing he just wrote down. Can I guess what you wrote?
Yeah, you can guess.
How many words is it?
2.
Is it bullying Beards?
No.
What does it
Just
say?
video framing.
Oh, okay. I thought you wrote that we had spent this time bullying you.
I mean, I can
Also,
write that.
also on NFL, shut up, Beards. Also on NFL, we would never. On NFL Network right now, last year's Super Bowl is replaying. Remember that, who was it? Who was that, Deebo Samuel on the little end around that went for like 50 yards in the first quarter?
Probably.
He got very uncomfy for a minute. If he was 19, I think it's him. Got very uncomfy for a second there. There was a, not a sponsor of this show, but I saw somebody sent me a screen cap of it. BetMGM had, again, not a sponsor.
It was Debo, by the way.
Excellent. Use whoever you want.
Not Debo as in Dwayne Bowe, but
how good would that have
Debo
been?
as in the lesser of the Debos.
Absolutely the lesser. There's a bet that BetMGM has. Maybe some other places picked up. It's just where I saw it first. There's a bet for the Super Bowl where you can bet on the Chiefs. I think it's plus 600 if gambling was legal. You could bet on the Chiefs to trail by 9 or more points and then still win by 9 or more points. And I just think it's fabulous that that is a prop that could exist for any reason. Like, it doesn't, out of context of the Chiefs' last 2 playoff runs, it doesn't make any sense as a prop bet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a featured one for the Chiefs because that's just their calling card at this part.
But it makes perfect sense. Like,
100%.
as a Chiefs fan. For like 31 franchises, it's just like why for us? It's
Right, what's
like
the
of
point?
course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of course,
It's like, did you watch Chiefs football for the last 2 years?
Right. Will they Chief? Will they do a Chief? Yeah. Plus 600? Yeah, absolutely.
Now
it's
maybe
Tuesday.
this year it's the
It'd be weird to do that on a Tuesday.
Sunday.
maybe this year it's we'll lead by 18, but only win by like 6, and people will freak out.
Oh,
maybe that's the prop bet this year.
That was basically, yeah. I mean, yes, that was the regular season.
Do people still freak out if we only win the Super Bowl by 3?
Yes.
After being up 27-0.
Yes.
Can
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes truly be the GOAT if he only beats Tom Brady in the Super Bowl by 1 possession?
Will somebody complain about Andy Reid's play calling?
Oh, yeah, me. Yeah, the first time they hand the ball off, I'm going to try to fire Andy Reid in the postgame show. Absolutely. They handed it off to a running back they took in the first round. He's
First
lost
play
his
of
touch.
the game, speed option.
Oh, can you imagine? And then that gets 9 yards, and then 2nd and 1. Quarterback sneak. What?
Don't get my hopes up.
I won't. We heard a ton. I honestly do not have all the audio ready to go right now. Not for lack of support from Beards and Rudy on this one. Rudy, and then also
I was
Beards.
gonna say,
yeah.
like,
I just,
I don't know what Beards did.
Rudy has all the audio ready to go. I have not had a chance to go through it after the fact because I literally just got back from Chapels, which you, also, by the way, I'm just gonna give more free plugs there. They've got a big game watch party on Sunday. It opens at 3. Seating's limited, so you can call 816. It's not 916. I don't know why I said 9. 816-421-0002. If you want to go be a part of the watch party at Chapels on Sunday, it would be a killer place to watch the super game.
The Superb Owl.
The excellent bowl.
If you're a big fan of Superb Owls, this is it.
The other thing, one more thing.
The good plate.
One more thing from the Chapels Chiefs Legends show. You can, again, grab the podcast if you want. Beards, I don't know if you heard. It depends on when you cut us off. Whenever I threw to the break in the first segment, Did you hear what happened after the first segment ended?
All the people clapping?
Thunderous applause.
Yeah.
What do you guys even get paid for, if not to clap for me every time we finish a segment?
Push buttons.
Can you clap and then push button, or you can push button and then clap? Either way is fine.
I don't make enough to clap.
I don't even care if it's over the air or not. It just was a really nice feeling, and really it was. Bill Moss, Bobby Bell, who even are they? They're clapping for me, is what was really happening there, I believe.
Maybe one day I'll make enough to clap, but I'm not there.
How much would I have to pay you to just clap for me at the end of, even just the end of like the first segment would be fine. It kind of wore off, you know?
$20 a segment. Those are valuable hands, Josh.
It depends, I guess, on how like authentic you can make it seem. Because I'm going to pay you $20 to give you a little like, woo, yeah, good bleep. Good segment there, Josh. You killed it.
Hold up. If I have to cheer, that's another 10. If you just want good claps, that's 20.
What does your best clapping sound like?
Whew, I don't know.
I got one for free. Yes.
It's a taste.
I got one for free.
You always give them a taste.
My self-esteem.
The product is good, and then they Now I get $20 a segment.
My self-esteem is safe. It's gonna get me through at least one segment.
We'll see.
We'll see next segment. We'll see about next segment. The madness today of the Super Bowl like opening night festivities. Last year, these festivities happened at the Marlins Stadium in Miami. They literally took over the ground floor in Miami, in the ballpark, and there were just podiums all over the place, and it looked like a madhouse. I was here, but it looked like an absolute madhouse. Today, the Chiefs were just in the facilities with a green screen and a ring light and a sponsored backdrop for Gatorade. And they all these pressers happened at the same time. It was a madhouse. There were a few interesting things, but it really did. That might have been the first time that I went, oh, like that was the first overwhelming moment of sort of Super Bowl week where it's just pure uncut chaos. And then Travis Kelsey said the phrase about Patrick Mahomes, he's got a little frog in him. And I enunciated kind of the syllables that I wanted to hit there because I think the idea that Patrick Mahomes just has, I'm imagining it as like a little like glass sort of compartment, like in his chest, like Iron Man. He's got a little compartment there, and there's a little frog that lives in there. It's very happy. It's self-sustainable in there. I don't know how small it is or how much space it has.
For sure.
But whenever I hear Travis Kelsey say Patrick Mahomes has a little frog in him, I think Iron Man reactor, little frog, boom, greatest quarterback of all time.
See, my first thought was kind of a Jiminy Cricket situation. So, like, even though like Jiminy Cricket takes on a physical form, you know, he's really just he's that little piece inside of you, you know, that just makes you who you are.
Wow,
and that little piece of hippity froggy. He's got a rocket for an arm.
Yeah, it's a little frog with a chooch.
Yeah.
It's a little frog that can throw gas. It was all very weird. There were some very serious questions with pretty good answers, and then there were some questions about spirit animals and whatnot. Do you have?
So they let you in?
They did. They did not actually. I would have followed up on every one of those for more information. Beards, do you have the answer that Andy Reid had? You guys may have to communicate on this as I figured things out. We'll do more next segment. But the answer that Andy Reid had to the kid reporter about what he does when he's feeling stressed. If that didn't make it, I'll just mention. Oh, Rudy is squinting like he does not know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
I see one Andy Reid clip here.
It's probably not that one. Odds are
about LDT.
No, a child reporter did not ask Andy Reid about Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. No.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what he said. We'll figure it out.
Bob or Mike DeCourcy asked about LDT. I only know that because.
Is he a child reporter?
No,
I didn't think so.
He'll be on the Border Patrol tomorrow.
That's what I thought. I thought that he was a recurring.
He's a college basketball guy who I assume he works for USA Today, I believe, and so I just assume is helping out in the NFL duties.
You could have enunciated
the
T slightly more, I think. Duties. The NFL duties. A kid reporter asked Andy Reid what he does whenever he's stressed, and Andy Reid responded with, "When in doubt, go deep." And that
can mean so many things.
It means pass the ball downfield is what I'm choosing to believe.
I would say I would
use go deep in that French fry bag.
See, I was gonna say like a hamburger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I saw. You may have missed this because you were at
Chapels.
At Chapels at your event, and it might have actually been on your drive home. There was an interview with Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady where I think Patrick Mahomes challenged Tom Brady to compete against Andy Reid in a hamburger eating contest. At which point Andy Reid said he would get smoked, or Tom Brady said he would get smoked.
Oh yeah, are you kidding?
Yeah.
What if Tom Brady touches grease? He'll melt like the Wicked Witch. Yeah. If you threw a greasy hamburger patty and it hit Tom Brady in the face, he would look like Harvey Dent after that. His face would melt off. What are you talking about? If he opened a Five Guys bag, think about what Five Guys bags look like by the time you take it to your destination or whatever.
It's a little bit of a war zone in there.
if Tom Brady opened a Five Guys bag and looked in, he would be the bad guy from Indiana Jones looking at the Ark of the Covenant or whatever. Or did he drink from the wrong cup? I can't remember. It's been a minute since I've seen the Indiana Jones movies.
Yes.
Was it both of them?
Yes.
My thought is open the bag. It's like looking directly at the Ark of the Covenant, and it just melts your face. What melted the guy's face in our Indiana Jones?
That was one of them.
Well, no, because the wrong cup made the guy like turn to dust, right?
He turned like super old or whatever.
Yeah. No, there were Ark of the Covenant.
Coke with no ice.
In Ark of the Covenant, there were 3 guys.
Yeah.
One
top hat with it turned into a GIF. Not top hat, I guess, but you know.
I know what you're talking about.
Wide brim cap.
And then another guy just exploded.
I think that
if I remember right,
that if Tom Brady looked directly at a Five Guys bag, if he opened it up and looked inside, he would begin melting like the looking at the Ark of the Covenant.
I think that's right.
That's where I'm at. Well, this is a good segment. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, I'm going to find whatever audio we've got buried away here and figure out what we need to get to from today's press conference. I'll tell you this. If you're like, wow, that segment was very unorganized, it sounds like Josh just got back in the door from doing a Chiefs Legends show, which you can find up on the podcast feed at Almost Entirely Sports, wherever you get your podcast. You should listen to it. It was very good. It sounds like Josh just got back. And then maybe was like so busy that he couldn't even call Rudy and Beards to do like a little extra planning ahead of the show because he was doing a radio hit on Sports Map Radio on the way back. If that's what it sounds like happened in this first segment, I don't know where you're getting any of that. I've been here all day. I've not left this chair since the post-game show last Sunday. I've got bed sores. It's a real problem. Beards, can you center me up in the Facebook video, please? It's hard to look at.
How about that?
It didn't move. It's not moving. It's barely moving.
Somebody on the Almost Entirely Sports Facebook page said how the H is framed in the upper left corner is just beautiful. So I think we should just leave it there.
Here's the thing: whenever I stretch my arms out, you can see that it doesn't go. It's not equidistant.
Well, your arms aren't equidistant.
Do I have a stumpy arm? I never knew. Oh, no. But
how's that?
Rarely. It's nothing. Nothing changed.
Yes, it did.
We rarely ever actually need to take
There's no H in the screen now.
Oust. It says Oust Studios. It's better by about a letter. Perfect. We need to take a break and just figure out what the next 30 minutes are going to be. What I can tell you, what I can promise you will be good is that Seth Keysor of the Chief of the North newsletter and The Athletic will join us for a Monday edition of Seth Keysor because there's no show for us tomorrow night. We got KU basketball here on Sports Radio 810. So Seth will be on in 30 minutes. Until then, it's just the three of us, and I hope that's okay with you. And even if it's not, there's really no other option.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman for Roberts Robinson, Chevrolet Buick GMC in Excelsior Springs. Online at robertsrobinson.com. I got to be honest with you. One of the great things about representing Roberts Robinson, Chevrolet Buick GMC is the perks. You know, Mike's a good dude. I mean, these are really good people that treat everyone well. They've been exceptional to me. And he called me up and he said, hey, you know, we do this shop, click, and drive, and we deliver cars right to you.
House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Time to run it back, Kansas City. Shop the largest selection of Chiefs, AFC champion, and Super Bowl gear at Rally House. New postseason styles arriving daily.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State, Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Selection varies by location. Limited quantities while supplies last.
Right now at Audi Shawnee Mission, experience why the Season of Audi sales event is the best time to get yourself the vehicle of your dreams. See their entire selection online at AudiShawneeMission.com or come take a test drive at Audi Shawnee Mission off I-35 and Shawnee Mission Parkway. Come experience their new state-of-the-art facility and check out the best deals of the year. You can't beat the great deals at Audi and supporting our hometown team as they march through the playoffs. Shopping at Audi of Shawnee Mission is a fun, stress-free experience for every type of driver. Explore their current inventory online at AudiShawneeMission.com. You'll find new Audi models matching your exact preferences with their handy search tools. Audi Shawnee Mission frequently updates the new Audi specials page so you can see the best offers on their most popular Audi vehicles. Put yourself behind the wheel of the new Audi you've always wanted at Audi Shawnee Mission. off I-35 and Shawnee Mission Parkway, or online at AudiShawneeMission.com. Audi of Shawnee Mission. Feel what it's like to drive the rings. Gomer's, with 6 great locations in the metro, Northland, Midtown, State Line South, Gomer's, Kansas, and at 103rd and State Line in the Watts Mill Shopping Center. Nobody knows more about fine wine, spirits, and craft beer than Gomer's. Whether you're looking for that special gift or picking up your favorites for a relaxing evening, you'll find it at Gomer's. Place your orders online for curbside pickup. Plus, Gomer's delivers in Missouri. Gomer's, your hometown liquor store.
When it's time to find the good stuff you're looking for, you find it at Gomer's.
Menards has the flooring you need to give your home a fresh look. Check out our great selection of Shaw flooring. Durable laminate flooring can be installed over most floors. Repel Cumberland laminate flooring is water resistant, making it good for any room in your home. Plus, it's available in 3 unique wood grain finishes. It's only $2.19 a square foot now at Menards. Sale prices are good through Saturday, February 13th.
Save big money at Menards.
A walk and some ice cream with someone sounds like the perfect treat.
Making pizza with someone who's as into it as me? What could be better?
Ready to meet people who love to do the same things you do? It's easy. 1, open laptop. 2, go to OurTime.com. 3, start for free. OurTime is the #1 dating site made for singles over 50. It's easy to use and can help you find people who just want to do something fun. Find someone over 50 who loves to do what you do on OurTime. Go to OurTime.com today and start for free.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
This whole segment has been kind of the first quarter of Chiefs Texans.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
With that liner in mind, Beards, can you please read the Facebook comment that you mentioned during the commercial break to me?
Lucas says, AES crew needs Seth tonight like the Chiefs need Eric Fisher.
Here's the thing. I think we need Seth tonight worse than the Chiefs need Eric Fisher. By the way, Beards, the framing right now on Facebook looks incredible.
It's a smidge high.
Beards, it looks great. And I want you to know that.
Good.
I appreciate you and the great work that you do. Even though you occasionally did you just move it?
No.
It would have been very funny. It would have been very on brand. I'm going to keep plugging this because I do want people to listen to it. The Chiefs Legends show with Bobby Bell, Bill Moss, and myself live from Chapels was a couple hours ago. Just got back into the building and had a lot of fun with those guys, with everyone out at Chapels. You can check out their big game. I almost slipped up. Their super game watch party.
There's some superb owls out there.
You can check it out. You can call for a reservation on Sunday. Opens at 3, 816-421-0002. And the show is up on the podcast feed right now of Almost Entirely Sports and over on additional programming. So you can check it out in both of those places. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of the things that we heard today, and then also a couple of sort of new signposts that I think we have at this point in the week that has already been. We've had the scrum of all sorts of audio and all sorts of, just getting guys to say things. You got the real headline maker of Jason Pierre-Paul. He probably ended up having the most sort of discussed little clip of the game, or of the day, excuse me, where he was asked about Mike Remmers. And he said, so how do you feel about Mike Remmers over there? And blah, 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 blah. And his answer was essentially, I don't know who that is. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to do my own thing, and then they're going to have to deal with me. One thing that's funny is he did go up against Mike Remmers like 9 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he should know, right? I mean, he should know.
He blacked out before the game.
You should.
Like you before the show. There's just that little blackout.
That's fair, actually. Does that ever happen to you when you're especially when you're driving at night and you're either kind of tired or you're kind of you're just spacing?
Next thing you know, you're in Nebraska.
And you're in Nebraska all of a sudden. It should not have taken me as long to get back from Chapels to here as it did, but I did almost miss a turn at one point. But you just sort of have that time disappear, and it's like, well, that was a 2-minute drive. I just covered 15 miles. That's probably not good, right? Anyway.
If you hit Arkansas, you're in the wrong Kansas.
Yeah, okay. I'll allow it. But Pierre-Paul says, I don't really care. They'll have to deal with me. I think the idea that like a defensive end doesn't need to worry about the tackle, so the tackle just deals with them, is kind of is fine. Although it reminded me of something that Frank Clark talked about a couple of times, like right whenever he got to Kansas City, where he talked about he's got notebooks on dudes, like he's got notebooks on tackles, and it's kind of learning their tendencies and then what can he do well to counter that. Like it's just, I mean, it's worked out fine for JPP for the most part. It's such a more. Did you just look at your hand, Rudy?
Yeah.
You just basically did Patrick Mahomes
like
counting to 10, but you could only count to 8 or whatever because you were doing a Jason Pierre-Paul visual joke just for you. I don't even think you thought I was going to see that.
I figured you would, and then
That's
I
fair.
didn't think you did, and so I was just moving on with my life.
Also, I didn't know if Facebook could have seen it because the snowman's in the way, the murderous snowman of Rudy's hands.
That's fine. It's all right. I called it out because most people who are consuming this show are not watching it, to be fair.
Although, to be fair, somebody over in the Twitch stream said there's got to be at least one visual gag on this audio medium every show. So there was.
Oh,
there was
absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
Well, that was like 15 as tonight's been going.
We did several already, and I definitely want to reward the people who watch the show, but I don't want to punish the people who don't. You know what I mean? That seems reasonable, right?
But they should watch the show.
But you should watch the show. Beards, do you want to start clipping clips and putting them out? That might not be a bad idea. All right, now, Rudy, are you laughing because Rudy? Are you laughing because I'm asking Beards to voluntarily do more work?
Never, no.
Okay, so that was what you were laughing at then. All right, good to
Never.
know. Okay, all right, very good.
I wasn't counting the fingers on my hand.
I think it was Sam Mellinger who tweeted after the victory lap Raiders game that Patrick Mahomes was basically a stone cold lock to do a drive the bus celebration in the rematch, and then say he was just paying homage to his longtime childhood bus driver Gerald. It's just such a good. That's just such a good bit. That's what Rudy was doing. But I just thought that the thing from Pierre-Paul was really interesting because it's such a very outrageously different approach to playing that position. Where I don't think Frank Clark is doing calculus at every snap, but he has a much more like cerebral approach to it.
For sure.
That I think is at least worth like acknowledging, and I imagine that guys can do that job in a variety of very different ways. It was just kind of fun.
I think
kind of
Tyrann Mathieu is a guy like that as well. I don't know if he necessarily has notebooks, right? But like the amount of study that he puts into film and just tendencies, like that's why he's constantly in positions to make plays because he just knows the tendencies of essentially everybody.
Yeah, and I think that at this point, that's the standard. And the one thing, BJ Kissel pointed this out for the Pierre-Paul thing, that maybe if the reporter would have said number 75, then maybe Pierre-Paul would have had more to say about it. But regardless, he was mad dismissive about it. And the thing that I thought was funny was just that he did play Mike Rimmers just like a month and a half ago or something. And it seems like you would know who he was. But
maybe.
I mean, we're just gonna blow stuff like that way out of proportion for the next week because we're gonna try to have little conversations like that.
And because there's nothing else going on.
Well, and because I mean, how many times? Think about we got a lot of mileage out of the big overarching Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady legacy conversation. Talked about that some with Bill Moss and Bobby Bell. Whenever you have new people to bring into that conversation, it's interesting. But how long can I talk about it before you get bored? All right, well, let's talk about Jason Pierre-Paul. All right, well. We did that. I literally was doing a radio hit with Sportsman, which I believe maybe have been aired over on ESPN Kansas City. I'm not 100% sure.
More than not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
All right. Well, maybe they'll podcast it. But they asked about Eric Bieniemy at one point, and the one other thing that stuck out to me from today, and I was just I watched someone talk live the entire time that press conference was happening, but I was bouncing around. But one of the things that stuck out from something else Andy Reid talked about. He got asked about Bieniemy, and we're not going to talk about Bieniemy for the remainder of this week and whatnot. But he was asked about Bieniemy, and is like, well, do you think that he should have gotten a job, or what did you expect? Were you disappointed? I think was the question. And then the follow up was, what does he need to do differently, or what else does he need to do to get a job next time? And Andy Reid, I just thought had a really honest fair answer, which was, I don't know how to answer the second part of that question. And the reason I bring up the radio hit is because I referenced that to them. Because I just think that should be the snippet of the Eric Bieniemy conversation for the rest of the offseason, for his next coaching cycle, whatever. What the football does he need to still do to prove that he deserves a head coaching job of some sort? There's nothing.
Cure cancer?
Did you say cure cancer?
Yeah, cure cancer.
I guess, do you think it would help him be a head coach? I think maybe his priorities aren't in order now.
It wouldn't hurt.
It might.
Well,
it might actually.
Yeah.
But that just should be
weird.
That should be. It's very strange. That should be the soundbite for the rest of the conversation around Bieniemy, which is that there's nothing else for him to do. Maybe he needs a better interview or whatever. Again, we all saw Dan Campbell's press conference, and I don't think Eric Bieniemy is a cannibal.
Excuse me, Man Campbell.
Man Cannibal. We saw Man Cannibal's press conference, and you think Nick Sirianni's was stumbling. He sounded like us in the first segment tonight.
He said
it's unlistenable.
The stuff he said, it's like I agree. I like the words that he's saying, but I don't know. I like the concept that he's trying to put out there, but I have no idea what he's actually saying. If that makes sense.
It's just weird, man. I guess.
Yeah.
Like, he's done press conferences before. I don't know. It was strange. But the only reason I don't actually think that determines if he's going to be a good head coach or not, any more than I thought that Adam Gase's weird eyes were going to be the thing that doomed him in New York. I thought the thing that was going to doom him was going to be that he's not a very good NFL head coach.
I thought it was his eyes.
And the word eyes.
Yeah.
Well, tomato, potato. But it doesn't define any of those things, except for it does define Eric Bieniemy whenever we end up having conversations about why he doesn't have a job yet. So, he hasn't interviewed well enough or whatever.
He doesn't call, we're not sure if he calls the plays.
Yeah, right. I wonder how many head coaches that got hired this cycle actually called plays their previous destination.
Dan Campbell.
No.
Okay.
Definitely not. Sirianni may have. Culley definitely didn't. I'm not going to actually itemize all of them. None of the defensive coaches did.
Are we sure?
You don't know that?
Robert Saleh did not call
sure?
offensive plays for the Niners. No, definitely not true. Anyway, we're gonna latch on to different things from all of this, and here's another thing that I hadn't thought about very much until today. Most of the stuff from today was, again, even to the Bieniemy thing, stuff that they've answered in Zooms with just us in it. Just Kansas City media in it forever.
You hear a ton of the same stuff that we've been hearing all year. And a large part of that's because you have a lot of people asking now questions who the reality is haven't been there all year.
Right.
And you get a lot of that with Super Bowl week where you don't necessarily learn new stuff because, again, you just have such a bigger audience of journalists journalists who are learning new stuff. When I say we're not, I mean people in Kansas City, because we've heard these questions, we've seen these answers plenty of times. Obviously, a lot of people haven't.
But one thing that I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about, because this game is really going to be understood in terms of Mahomes versus Brady, and then maybe pass rush versus offensive line for both teams. But we are getting a Kelsey versus Gronk Super Bowl, which is, again, just something I hadn't spent very much time thinking or talking about, where you're going to have the greatest tight end of all time go up against Rob Gronkowski. That's a nice matchup.
It's gonna be very good.
It'll be very fun. But Gronk is clearly not the guy that he was in New England. He's not even being used that way. I think he had 2 catches in the NFC Championship game, or he had 0 for a long time. His role's just been very limited. But it does, as you kind of find extra little reasons to hook into specific floating elements of the Super Bowl. That's another fun one here, where you are going to get to look back on this as being a game. I mean, Matt Verderam of Fansided brought this up on Friday. He said, how many future Hall of Famers are playing in this game? We could try to itemize that.
Yeah.
Mahomes and Brady are going.
Yep.
Kelsey is going.
Yes.
Antonio Brown's probably going. Did I say Gronk already?
No,
I don't think I said Gronk. And Ndamukong Suh's going to have a really good case. Tyrann Mathieu may end up with the case. L'Jarius Sneed already has a bust, in my opinion.
I'm down with it.
Maybe too soon. Maybe.
You get the receiver core. There's obviously, I think both Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans have work to do, but
they're both on the right track.
Trending in that direction.
Absolutely. They're gonna the Hall of Fame is gonna put a lot of wide receivers into the Hall in years to come. But I mean, I think we just got to 9, maybe not, including L'Jarius Sneed. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, why not?
And that's
why not include him?
And
I mean, they just named the hall after him.
Ooh, the L'Jarius Sneed Memorial Hall of Fame. But he's still alive.
Yeah.
The Hall of Sneed.
I mean, there's got to be a better pun in there somewhere, right? I can't find it personally, but I have to keep filling the air with words while you guys think about, is there a Sneed pun anywhere in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in Canton, Ohio? There's not really anything there.
Just move on. There's no need to keep doing this.
All right. Yeah, all right, I'll give you that one. Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
That was well done.
It wasn't laugh out loud funny. It wasn't L'Jarius.
I tried not to laugh.
Got him. Got one. Anyway. But I mean there is a legitimately outrageous amount of talent in this game, and that's leaving out dudes like Mitchell Schwartz, who I just don't think is probably going to get the necessary hype to make that jump. And for dumb reasons, he may have been the best right tackle in football for the majority of his career, but will it be enough?
It's just going to get overlooked, and it's really dumb.
It's just probably going to get overlooked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not even down in the trenches. Jason Pierre-Paul, probably
really
not,
good player.
But a really good player who's had some huge moments.
Shaq Barrett has been just a dominant force the last 2 or 3 years now.
And it's leaving out guys like a top 5 draft pick who's had also big moments in Sammy Watkins.
Are they talking about playoff Lenny?
What?
Playoff Lenny. That's what they call Leonard Fournette. Joe Buck called Leonard Fournette in the previous playoff game. Playoff Damien?
He called him playoff
Lenny.
How many playoff games does...
He has
my timeline got really stupid about
it's either
Leonard
6 or 7 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yeah, that's all right.
Something like that.
Playoff Lenny.
Lenny.
I genuinely did not know who you were talking about.
Yeah, playoff Lenny.
I've never heard Leonard Fournette called Lenny at all.
Well, he's played 6 games. Okay.
Playoff Lenny.
Yeah, I think he had 2 at the Jags.
3.
3, I guess. It would have had to be 3 to match up with this year.
Good old playoff.
Was that over 2 years then, I guess?
No, 2017.
Were they a wild card team that made it to the AFC Championship game?
Yeah,
that team, by the way, was in the AFC
Lenny.
Championship game. That is bonkers as hell. That is
they were a wild card team. They beat Buffalo.
Oh,
10-3.
Buffalo.
10-3.
Good old football, man.
I listen. I know we all had a lot of fun. We all had a lot of fun dunking, ending the Buffalo Bills season 2 weeks ago. I guess basically a week ago from now. But
Tyrod Taylor, 17 of 37 for 134 yards, an interception, and 2 sacks.
That team had its playoff hopes ended in the wild card round.
Nathan Peterman, 1 for 3, 14 yards, and 1 interception.
By Blake Bortles. They had their playoff hopes crushed by Blake Bortles.
By the boat and playoff Lenny.
Who threw for 87 yards in that game.
The boat and playoff Lenny.
Weird place for us to get distracted.
Playoff Lenny only had 57 yards.
The boat and playoff Lenny.
No touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't make up the nicknames, okay? History does. History won't forget playoff Lenny.
I wish I could forget Blake Bortles.
Boat.
This show hasn't been very good so far tonight, has it?
I disagree.
This show is not. I'm not going to even be defensive about it. This show's just not been very good tonight.
I disagree.
The first show I did was good.
I disagree.
And I think
you know what? I totally agree.
There's going to be 3 hours of radio with my voice attached to it. There's going to be the Chiefs Legend show, available at aes.show or wherever you get your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. This hour, I just don't think we're going to dig it out. I'm kind of punting on the last 13 minutes after this.
Coward!
And then next hour...
Go for it!
The next hour, we'll have Seth, which will be good again.
It's 4th and 17. Just go for it!
The middle hour of a 3-hour show is always a challenge.
Even with a 1 hour break in between.
This was like this. You know what this was?
The break's the problem.
This is this. Yeah, it's not my fault.
Never take a halftime midway through the first quarter.
So no, what it is that was our Super Bowl halftime show. You know, there's a whole hour instead of a few minute layoff because the Weeknd's out there doing his nasty thing, and so we got a whole hour layoff between the two shows, and it's just I just have not fully recovered again.
Weeknd's copyrighted. We can't use that. Instead, we're using the Space Adventure song. That's our halftime show.
Because it's a good song.
Presented by The Thursday. But the A's not in there. Let's take a break. I don't think this hour is getting salvaged. This hour is going to be really disappointing to everyone who is like, oh, he did a show with Bobby Bell and Bill Moss. I bet that's really interesting. I wonder what else he did tonight. And then it's just a long,
Something else.
Something else,
It's just a Venus flytrap.
A what?
A Venus
flytrap.
Yeah. You're like, oh, look at all this normal Chiefs talk we do with interesting Chiefs players, and then they fly inside and snaps close, and they're trapped here now. It's almost entirely sports. They're trapped here.
I mean, go ahead. We need to make some new promos. May as well use that since we got it. Almost entirely sports. It's Venus flytrap. Pretty much it. Just sort of the whole promo. The rest of the promo is like 24 seconds of silence.
You're here.
Welcome to Almost Entirely Sports.
You're in.
Can never leave now.
Usually Seth is the fly trap. But I don't know what he maybe today he just convinces you to like that it's more this usually, and so you can just settle in and make a little home in the Venus flytrap.
Mm-hmm. And that's when we got you.
The show's been very strange. Let's take a break, and I'll either try to find more audio to bring to you, or I'm going to tell a story about what happened to me at UPS a couple days ago.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 55 is coming to America's largest all-sports radio station, Sports Radio 810, WHB.
The road to repeat for Kansas City will run through Tampa.
As the Chiefs get set to run it back. Follow all the action right here on your home for the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey sports fans, Joni here, and I'm excited to tell you about the newly opened In the Zone Cryo. In the Zone Cryo will help decrease pain and inflammation, accelerate muscle recovery, increase your energy, and boost your immune system. In the Zone Cryo also offers Instasculpt fat reduction, personal training, infrared heat, compression therapy, and more. Mention Sports Radio 810 and receive 10% off your first service. Come see us at College and Metcalf. Call 913-208-4859 or visit inthezonecryo.com. Feel, look, and perform your best with In the Zone Cryo.
Hey, Kansas City fans. Get your Chiefs limited edition Rawlings football now by calling 1-800-345-2868 or by visiting nicosports.com. Each fully engraved football is priced at only $99 and comes with an individually numbered certificate of authenticity. The football features their AFC Championship, Chiefs team history, logos, full season schedule with opponents, and a summary of Mahomes' accomplishments. It will be automatically upgraded to Super Bowl champs if they win. Fans can order now by calling 1-800-345-2868 or by visiting nicosports.com. That's 1-800-345-2868 or by visiting nicosports.com. A portion of the proceeds will be donated to Cornerstones of Care. So Kansas City fans, get your limited edition Chiefs Rawlings football now. Call 1-800-345-2868, 1-800-345-2868, or online at nicosports.com, nikcosports.com. Wholesale Batteries is proud to support our hometown team as they get ready to win the big game. Watching the game at home or working from home? Let Wholesale Batteries protect your man cave or workstation from power surges and outages. Wholesale Batteries is stocking your uninterruptible power supplies to provide coverage during power surges, spikes, or outages. While the big game is on, you can trust Wholesale Batteries to protect you from any outages. Kansas City's largest battery supplier, Wholesale Batteries. The right battery the first time. Let's go Kansas City, bring back another title.
What makes Bushnell Bushnell? Innovation, precision, hard work. But Bushnell likes knowing that each rangefinder, rifle scope, and binocular around the world is Kansas City through and through. Designed by our neighbors, family, and friends, 300 strong. who support their families and this great city by making some of the best outdoor gear on the planet. Bushnell thanks Kansas City for being home for more than 28 years and making every Bushnell special. Come find your next homegrown Bushnell at your local retailer or on Bushnell.com.
Rock your home with new tops from Kansas City's best countertop fabricator, Rock Tops. They custom fabricate and install stone surfaces that will make you fall in love with your home. Making homes look incredible is Rock Tops' thing. Being nice just comes naturally. Rock Tops offers carry-out samples and virtual or in-home appointments. Call 913-782-0802 or go to rocktopskc.com. Mention 810 Rocks to receive 10% off right now.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I think we did 2 really good hours.
With Joshua Brisco.
And we also did this hour.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
None of the audio that I thought was most interesting made the cut, unfortunately, and so I
how's this FedEx story?
UPS.
Real fast, I do want to say Lucas Bell sent a message.
I'll take any questions and comments we have right now.
Yeah. He sent a message saying this hour definitely does not need to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's true. That's also fair. Do I appreciate people getting on board with dunking on how bad this hour of radio has been? I don't know.
I disagree.
I honestly
wouldn't
don't
say
know.
it was bad.
Send your comments.
You felt good about how this hour went?
I'd say it was entertaining.
The first 5 minutes were
Dunk
me trying to teach you how to frame a video feed
Drag
that you've been running for 2 years.
Well, listen, you were wrong.
Hey.
I wasn't!
If I've told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Sometimes it just takes a guy 7 years to develop. He'll get there. Be patient. Trust the process.
We'll talk to Seth Keysor in about 5 minutes, but I told this story to him off air, and his reaction was such that it made me realize this is a viable radio story. How long do I have here, Beards?
3 minutes.
That will be enough. It's not that good a story.
Yeah.
And then also, if my mom is listening, there's a borderline spoiler alert on the package that I sent to them. They're in Florida, and there's obviously some Chiefs sort of related things in Kansas City right now that is not available in Tampa, enemy territory. So I was trying to hook them up. It's not going to get there yet. Yeah.
Good team.
Fun, snow, Patrick Mahomes. It's all in the box, which is crazy. But
how do you get fun in there?
Just put Patrick Mahomes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has to get to Tampa Bay somehow.
Yep. It's just save it. Look.
You better bubble wrap him, or else there's going to be a city
that will
not like you.
Poke some holes in the top of the box.
Oh, good.
That's enough.
That's
all you need.
I took this box to UPS, though, to drop it off and have it shipped off to my family in Florida. And And this happened another time I sent them a package from the same store, but I wasn't ready for the question then. I wasn't ready for the question this time, which is, all right, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Thank you, Beards. And I mean, the only thing that I could do at that point was freeze like a deer in the headlights. Because, well, do you want itemized specific things? Like, well,
Yes.
there's a note, and then there's this item, and then there's this other item, and here's these 4 items, and there's this thing that I bought. There's no way that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is all happening in my mind in slow-mo. And I'm going, well, it's like Chief stuff. My family lives in Florida. I'm trying to send them some Chief. You don't need them. And then I kind of recalibrate enough to say it's sports memorabilia. It's more or less sports memorabilia. And I pause, and then I look at the sign of prohibited items. It's sports memorabilia. You know what it's not? It's not drugs, I say to the UPS lady, who looks at me.
I would say the Chiefs are a drug.
Thinking that perhaps I protest too much. I think, Mom, that the package will get there soon. But I may have put up a red flag for the UPS lady who was perhaps concerned that I was maybe smuggling drugs to Florida.
We just got a text. If somebody got fired for this hour, I wouldn't be upset. Who gets fired?
Beards threw me off by having the video off kilter. So Beards.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, if you thought this hour stunk, don't worry, we'll make it up to you next hour. Seth Keysor of the Chief of the North newsletter and The Athletic is joining us for his Super Bowl week appearance on Almost Entirely Sports. We'll talk to him next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You've heard Tom Shane on the radio, but But have you actually visited Shane Company? If you're looking for a unique engagement ring that reflects your personal style, come see us. Not only do we have all the classics, but our in-house design team is constantly introducing beautiful new styles. For your center stone, you'll find all the traditional diamond shapes, as well as the trending shapes like oval, cushion, and princess cut. Another way to make the ring uniquely yours is to choose a colorful, natural center stone. We're known for our vivid rubies and sapphires. Our sapphires come in over a dozen colors, like peach, lavender, and ice blue. Visit our store or go online where you can create and virtually try on any ring. With the largest selection of ring settings and loose stones, unlimited combinations and looks, at Shane Company, you can get your ring your way. We'll protect it for life, for free, and keep it sparkling like the day you said yes.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Drive for the win and score huge savings at your Kansas City Acura dealers. As the Chiefs make their playoff push, we're pushing out deals, deals, deals on award-winning Acura SUVs and sedans. For a limited time, score jaw-dropping lease deals and low APR offers on the all-new 2021 TLX sedan and the 2021 RDX crossover SUV. The MVP has arrived. Pre-order the all-new redesigned 3-row 2022 MDX SUV and experience the future of luxury performance. Visit your Kansas City Acura dealers today.
A walk and some ice cream with someone sounds like the perfect treat.
Making pizza with someone who's as into it as me? What could be better?
Ready to meet people who love to do the same things you do? It's easy. 1, open laptop. 2, go to OurTime.com. 3, start for free. OurTime is the #1 dating site made for singles over 50. It's easy to use and can help you find people who just want to do something fun. Find someone over 50 who loves to do what you do on OurTime. Go to OurTime.com today and start for free.
The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
Only Sports Radio 810 will bring you live coverage from Tampa at Super Bowl 55.
Rush coming. Mahomes floats it. Wide open, Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City.
The Zone will be coming to you live from Radio Row with all the latest Chiefs news. Tune into Sports Radio 810 for the best Super Bowl coverage all week long. On your home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you have an urgent orthopedic or sports injury, the University of Kansas Health System is open, safe, and has extended hours to see you quickly. Your orthopedic and sports injuries deserve champion treatment from the experts who treat the Chiefs. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine. That's kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine. The University of Kansas Health System is the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
WHB, Kansas City.
Sports. I'm Kevin Winter. A couple of stories we're following out of Major League Baseball. First, the Players Association tonight rejected a proposal to delay the start of the upcoming season, have a 154-game schedule. Players Association didn't like the fact that there were going to be scheduled double headers. There'd be the expansion of the playoffs, although only 14 teams this time, and you'd have the universal DH. So Major League Baseball says tonight, okay, camps are going to open up February 17th, opening day April 1st. Major League Baseball starts on time. At least that's the plan with a full 162-game regular season. The developing story is former Mets manager Mickey Callaway is being accused of sending unsolicited messages and photos, among other inappropriate and harassing behavior, to 5 women who worked in the sports media. They told The Athletic. The Athletic published the report tonight. Callaway, a former Mets manager, currently the pitching coach for the Angels, and also a former coach for the Indians. It was so bad when he was in Cleveland, women would warn other women in other cities to watch out for Callaway and be on guard. Callaway denies the accusations. Major League Baseball says they're going to open up an investigation. In the NBA tonight, Devin Booker did it again. Slow night. He just knocked down his 5th game-winning go-ahead shot in the final 5 seconds. Phoenix 109, Dallas 108. Booker the 3 with time winding down. Houston 136, Oklahoma City 106. Lakers wrap up a 7-game road trip with a 107-99 win in Atlanta. On ESPN, big Monday, Texas Tech by 2 over Oklahoma, 17.6 to go.
Coming up Tuesday, the Super Bowl is getting closer and closer. And I'll tell you the one matchup I'll be paying attention to on Sunday. Keysor, J. Will and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Now it's time for very serious football talk with the man who met his wife on a blind date, chaperoned by his parents.
They actually came along on the first date with us. There was I rode in the back seat. I was 22.
The man who needs to take a minute to remember the names of all of his children.
Do all of your kids have the same first letter?
No, actually. Let me think. Do any of them? Tucker, Mason, Cole, Isabel, and Lucas.
The man who can defend you in court, but will probably choose not to.
I'll cop to this on a public setting right now. I am an aggressive cuddler in a consensual sense.
Comma, officer.
Good grief, he's a pastor too? When does this guy sleep?
You will find Seth Keysor everywhere except for in his or your bed, because not only does he not sleep, he's also a faithful husband. So that's important.
It's Seth Keysor of The Athletic on Almost Entirely Sports.
Usually we talk to Seth Keysor on a Tuesday, but this is no usual week. Super Bowl week is finally here. It is actually here. Seth, it feels like last week was about a month, but I'm imagining these next several days are going to go by probably pretty fast.
Yes. Well, if last year is any indication, it will have moments where it goes by incredibly fast, and then agonizingly slow moments where it'll be like there's a classic scene from every good movie or TV show that's about being in school, where like you die 1,000 deaths, then you look at the clock and it's been literally 1 second.
Yes.
And so we're gonna have some of that too. I'm looking forward to having a completely sleepless night on Saturday. My family already has me involved in a group text where they're all talking about how excited they are to like watch the game, and like my sister might end up watching it with me, and she's the only one who gets it. That we just want everyone to shut up so we can watch the game. So yes, it's gonna be great, sort of.
The last time that I watched a game, I've now watched, I think, one Chiefs game the last 2 or 3 seasons with my family. It was the Falcons game this year, so maybe that one was my fault. I was in the wrong state, I guess. I don't know. But obviously, I'm usually here in the studio, watching the games, and the post-game clicks on and everything. And it was honestly jarring to be back with the whole family in a room like about the same size as the radio studio that I usually have to myself, and they're screaming at the television, and I'm just taking notes in a Google Doc. It's really been a very strange evolution. I imagine you have to have a tremendous difference from how you watched games, like especially 10 years ago.
Yes, I watch games very different. Well, yes and no. The way that I view the game has drastically changed. Obviously, and that there's really just nothing to be done about that, because the more I learn about the game, the more it changes how I watch it. Right. But honestly, I have a goal every week when I watch the Chiefs play that I want to just watch as a fan. I think I've told you this before. The moment this stops being fun, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let it change my fanhood. But I watch games very intensely. Like, I want to be left alone.
Right.
Like, I don't want to talk.
Has that always been true, though? Was that true of Seth 2000?
Yeah, well, Seth 2000. Yeah, Seth 2000 was. Let me think. I was 15.
Yeah, honestly, I said Seth 2000 and thought, like, well, actually, 2000 was 20 years ago, wasn't it? Well, that's odd. Never mind, I guess.
But Seth 2010. So yeah, I mean, I used to be more chatty and stuff during games. But I've always been a little bit of like a worrier during games. I get kind of angry at bad snaps. I've mellowed out actually a little bit, a very tiny amount. I actually thought I'd mellowed out a lot more before the divisional round this year, and then I realized I have not mellowed out. Like, it's just the Chiefs have just been so good that every game felt kind of pointless because I knew they were making the playoffs this year, right? And so they mattered, but they didn't matter that much. Yeah. And then suddenly it's the divisional round, and I am screaming in the backyard of a VRBO in Florida.
Right.
So my neighbors were very patient with me. So I has changed over time, but I would just assume, like, I don't want people to make idle chit chat between plays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it. And so I'm working on it. I've actually already sent out a text to the few family members who might join us and just said, I'm going to be an awful host if you choose to come over. Just FYI, like, I might watch the game in another room.
Yep.
So.
But I imagine that is clicking with a lot of people, and also a lot of people just heard that and are horrified of how sterile we have made, how serious we have made the football watching experience. But that's just how it's ended up. I didn't choose this life. It chose me, I think. I don't know. I'm not totally sure.
Absolutely.
Let's talk some about this game. The big game, as I see lots of people calling it, to avoid any sort of copyright infringements. Let's talk about, we can say it here, the Super Bowl, which you can actually hear right here on Sports Radio 810, by the way, on Sunday, and then the postgame show with me immediately after. We'll see how long it goes. Last year we went all night. Also, the Chiefs won, so we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But leading up to that, Seth, I mean, there are so many of these big stories. We talked about some of them, some of the kind of the legacy-based things last week. But now we are within. We can see it from here. And some of the matchups that have sort of risen to the surface in these last several days, especially, have gotten even more interesting to me. What are you thinking of first whenever you think of, all right, well, this is where my processing power is going at this point. This is what I'm zooming in on today.
Sure. So there's two big things that I'm going to be focusing on this week, and because this is the job, it's related both to work. For The Athletic, I'm going to be zeroing in on the best avenues of the path to victory for the Bucs and the path to victory for the Chiefs. And I'm going to write about each. I can tell you based on so far, when you look at it through a prism of things that would lead to the Chiefs having a high likelihood of success versus things that would lead to the Bucs having a high likelihood of success, the Chiefs have more avenues to win. Spoiler alert for what's coming on The Athletic later this week. But I think everyone knows that. Like, I think even, nationally it's being covered. The Chiefs are mostly the favorite. I mean, they deserve it. So I'm viewing it that way to what needs to happen for each team. What could happen to cause them to lose? The thing that I'm looking at in the Chief in the North newsletter is a little more niche and a little more focused. I'm doing a little series called The Other Guys. The first article for that should be dropping late tonight or tomorrow morning on L'Jarius Sneed. And so what I'm going to do is look at players who aren't getting as much hype as, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill. Those are the big three, right? Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill. I already said both of them. Tyrann Mathieu. Players that everyone knows that the game revolves around. If I didn't say Kelsey, he deserves to be mentioned twice.
Right.
So I want to look at some of the other guys who might have a huge impact on the game, like Damien Williams last year, right? Made some unexpectedly big plays. You could make an argument. Ben Neiman got home on a couple of blitzes that were really important. Just when you went through in the Super Bowl, all you need are guys that can affect a few plays. And so I'm going to write about guys that I think aren't being talked about as much, but could have an outsized impact on the Super Bowl. And L'Jarius Sneed is one of them. Juan Thornhill's another one. And so we're going to go from there.
All right, well, let's start with the first sort of section. Then again, you can see this piece coming up on The Athletic. You also should absolutely already be subscribed to the Chief in the North newsletter. You can get that at bit.ly/SethHatesMoney because it's so blanking cheap to subscribe to it. You could also go to mnchiefsfan.substack.com. Seth, how much is it again for a year? Remind me one more time.
It is. It's $12 for a year.
That shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed.
People seem to be enjoying it. The response has been overwhelming. It's been so much fun.
It's $12 for a year, and you get that price forever if you lock it in now. So at least go do that.
Correct.
It's unbelievable. It's not $12 a year and then $12 a month after that. Nope, it's just $12 for a year. It makes me so mad. Seth hates money. It's fine. Seth is robbing himself at gunpoint. It's whatever. Go rob Seth. bit.ly/SethHatesMoney or mnchiefsfan.substack.com. That's MN, like short for Minnesota, chiefsfan.substack.com. But let's go to the big picture side of things first. There's a series of interesting tweets that I saw up on Twitter today that you and I had previously kind of kicked around a little bit before the segment, that I've seen some smart people weighing in on in terms of basically what's the best strategy for the Buccaneers. If you right now were being hired by Tampa to come be a defensive consultant for one game and one game only, after you finished like getting the sweat off of your brow and mumbling PG-13 curse words, where would you point them after that? What intrigues you the most is, you know what? You want to try to get in the way a little bit, try this first.
I think the thing I would do in the situation the Bucs are in that the Chiefs are so banged up on the offensive line, I think you try a version of the 49ers game plan in last year's Super Bowl, knowing that it's not going to get you there. Now, that sounds counterintuitive, but you need to trust that Tom Brady is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, that your weapons are better than the Niners' weapons. Now, to be fair, it's hard to have a better coach team than Kyle Shanahan, but you've got to trust your offense can put up, 25, 30 points. But the thing, when I look at the Chiefs and I look at where the games that they've at least been slowed down, the most successful formula that I've seen is teams being aggressive, trying to flood underneath zones and get pressure with 4 and try to get home fast enough to avoid letting Patrick Mahomes kill you deep. That's really it. There's no magic formula. There's no, people talk about, cover 3, cover 4, cover blah, blah, blah. I would play some variant of probably cover 3, but shading help on Tyreek Hill's direction, having extra help on Kelsey, and hoping that you get there fast enough. That's what I would do, especially given that they've got a really good front 4 and the Chiefs are really banged up on the offensive line. I think that gives them the best chance of success. However, you're basically hoping that the Chiefs' offensive line is subpar or like really subpar, and that a bunch of other things fall the right way. That is, I think, the route I would go, I think.
Well, and so I wouldn't mind you maybe kind of exploring a couple of different, I don't want to say at odds strategies, but we've seen some very different things attempted against the Chiefs, and then there's a kind of different theory floating around a little bit that I think is all very, very interesting. Why don't you hop on that real quick?
So there's one that's being bounced around Twitter right now. The idea of maybe what you do is you kind of dare the Chiefs to beat you deep.
It sounds crazy at first. And everyone listening right now is saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure that's a strategy?" But I think there's a logic to it.
There is a certain logic to it, and so without getting too deep into the weeds in terms of scheme, basically dare the Chiefs to beat you down the field deep, and hope that your pressure can get home on time. And now here's one thing: the way that's being pushed right now by the person that I'm thinking of. He said, blitz a ton, try to get home quickly. I don't agree with the blitz thing, even if you're trying to get them to beat you deep. And I'll talk about that why in a minute. But basically, play some variant of cover 3, even without a ton of help over the top, and force Mahomes to complete a bunch of deep passes. And one thing that at least brings to the table is it means that the routes will take a little bit longer to develop, and there's going to be a little bit higher variance because those are harder throws to complete, even from a clean pocket. We kind of take for granted how easy it is to complete a 40-yard bomb.
Right.
It's super, super, super hard. Those passes are much more often inaccurate. So maybe you get higher variance on the throws. Maybe you get a few more incompletions than you normally would. Maybe even pick off 1 or 2. The idea being that you use the highest variance plan possible. And then the other thing that I would do, I would still rush 4. And hopefully you win up front and just flood those underneath zones as much as possible. And that way you try to prevent them nickel and diming you to death. I think that there's a certain elegance to that game plan of just being as aggressive as possible, trying to get after Mahomes, trying to press everyone underneath, and just if you get beat over the top, you get beat over the top. The one thing about this plan is if it fails, it will fail spectacularly and so quickly that you have basically guaranteed you cannot win.
Yeah.
Similar to the Week 12 matchup, right? Once the Bucs went down 17-0, that was effectively it. Patrick Mahomes is not Matt Ryan. You're not going to come back, 28-3 on him. You know what I mean? That's just not going to happen. And that's the risk there, right? Is that the game could be over by halftime if you go that route. But the argument is that and I think this makes sense, and I was curious what you thought about this. The argument is that every other team plays the Chiefs differently, right? Like the way the Bills did in the AFC Championship. They don't play them aggressive. They play off to avoid getting beat deep. They don't ever blitz. And the Chiefs have gotten awesome at beating teams doing that because Andy Reid's not an idiot, and they know all the routes to run, and they eviscerate that. The Browns couldn't do it. The Bills couldn't do it. So what makes you think you, Buccaneers, will be different moving away from your DNA as a really aggressive defense and trying to lay back? And that's a good thought.
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting because, I mean, and you said this better. I'm going to try to say it simpler in this form. It's harder to throw and succeed down the field than it is intermediate a whole bunch of times. Like, if you're going to say, I mean, as you said, I think we undervalue maybe how difficult it is to take those deep shots and to have them land. Not just the throw being in the right spot, but the route working to the exact point you're talking about. And then also Tyreek Hill catching it, which, like, there have been a couple of drops. That drop is just as good as a pass breakup if it's on third down and now you're getting the ball back. The thing that I think is interesting, I mean, you mentioned Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. I think about Buffalo in that first matchup all the time and think about how Sean McDermott was talking after the game about how, hey, we were kind of close, and they weren't really close, but they were faux close, That's better for the headlines. That's better for you in the post-game press conferences, but it's not any better for you in the win-loss column. I mean, if you would basically the Bucs would be taking a bigger bet, a bigger gamble in that strategy working, where you dare them to throw deep and take away the intermediate stuff that I think the Chiefs are probably the best at in terms of the varying levels of depth of target and styles of offense and everything, because that's where Travis Kelsey is at his deadliest. I get it. I don't think they're going to do it because I do think that the look of being down 27-3 at halftime is way more difficult to get hyped for than the idea of losing the game 27-24, even though you never really that close. But I think it's fascinating.
People aren't afraid of death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
At least not as much. Even though it kills you just as dead as getting decapitated.
Right.
And it really is a good thought that other teams have tried this. And that's the argument against the methodology that I'm saying, right? Is, look, the 49ers, if you look at their defense last year, people can talk up Tampa Bay's front four all they want, and we'll see how they do in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs offensive line that is missing all but like one starter.
Yep.
But, whatever, be that as it may. It's not as good as the 49ers line. Nick Bosa is better than anyone on Tampa Bay's line. DeForest Buckner is better than anyone on their line. You can make an argument about Armstead, right, and D Ford, but they're just unbelievable. They've got better players on the back end. It's just one of the better defenses we've seen in recent history. The Buccaneers have a really, really good defense, but it's not at that level. So then the question becomes, what makes you think you will succeed where the 49ers failed, right? Because ultimately they couldn't stop the Chiefs from putting up 31 points. I would argue that they came dang close. And maybe that's the best you can do against the Chiefs is hope for some self-inflicted mistakes. And that's what I've argued, is you just play them as well as possible and hope that they make a few mistakes along the way that keeps them from running away from you. The one thing I would say in terms of the idea of like being aggressive with blitzes, I think that takes away from the game plan of trying to force deep throws because Mahomes has proven so adept at finding the open spot on blitzes that you are kind of ruining the strategy of taking away the short intermediate throws by necessarily creating some open lanes by rushing 5 or 6 guys. And so I don't know if you can really force the deep ball against the Chiefs if you're blitzing, because Mahomes is just too smart at this point, and Andy Reid's too good at designing his offense. I think if you're going to force the deep ball, you've got to still rush 4 or even 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Because they've got 3 good guys. Imagine if they could do that and have a couple of talented linebackers in space. They could maybe pull that off and make things really hard for the Chiefs. So that is a great route, and I think it's a really, really good idea. It's just very risky because all it takes is a few plays, and now you're the laughing stock because you tried the weird thing. People would rather do the conservative thing and fail than do the risky thing and fail.
Yeah. Because
it opens you up to less criticism.
Yeah. Wait, and it's funny because doing the risky thing and succeeding means you're a head coach in 45 minutes. Like that. People love to see the weird thing once it's no longer risky. Once the risky thing is no longer risky, but is unique still and successful, that's who we want to be our new head coach. But
that's the sweet spot.
If you do the risky thing and it doesn't work, you're an idiot and you're fired. That's the reality of how the NFL largely functions. One thing that you mentioned that I want you to bring some people along with you on is the Chiefs' offensive line. You're right that they have one starter who will be starting in the Super Bowl in the same position he started the regular season. Eric Fisher out. Clutchio Simile / Laurent Duvernay-Tardif out. Austin Ryder there at center. Started at center. Did not play every game at center, but is there at center. Andrew Wiley getting kicked out to right tackle because Mike Remmers going to left tackle. And then right guard will be Stefan Wisniewski, who started last year's Super Bowl in that spot, but hadn't started the year there because he was with Pittsburgh. So many moving parts, and I would not blame anyone anywhere for looking at the Chiefs' banged-up offensive line and that front four from Tampa and going, all right, well, there's where the game gets decided, quote-unquote, because that's the thing that can disrupt Patrick Mahomes. But whenever we talked about this last week, you had and this actually may have come up on Time Czars. You can also hear Seth and me and Nate Taylor on Time Czars, the podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You have a bit of an optimist's view, stunningly to me, about the Chiefs' offensive line that made me feel better, and I'd like for you to share that with people again.
And it's a very cautious take to have. Eric Fisher has come a long ways as a player, so. Obviously, the loss of Mitch Schwartz is devastating and has been all season. The loss of Assembly, devastating, has been all season. Those guys were the Chiefs' two best offensive linemen this year. Them being gone really stinks. Here's what I will say when you're talking about comparing the offensive line of the last couple of weeks versus the offensive line they're fielding in the Super Bowl, right? So we're not comparing them to Assembly. We're not comparing them to Schwartz. We're comparing them to having Eric Fisher out there and then Wiley at right guard and Remmers at right tackle, right? With everything else kind of being the same, Allegretti and Ryder, the guys at left guard and center, respectively. Well, here's what I would say. Eric Fisher has been a very good left tackle for the Chiefs over the last couple of years. He was playing hurt with a bad back. At times not effectively as he had been. One interesting thing with Fisher is that he at times, if you'd say, for example, look at the Super Bowl last year, he can struggle against elite competition. And that's, Nick Bosa played one of the best individual games I've ever seen an edge rusher play. And I don't know if anyone would have stopped him. It's worth noting they never matched him up against Mitch Schwartz, not once. And I think there's a reason for that, because Mitch Schwartz, in the meantime, was basically erasing the existence of Armstead and Ford on the other side. It was hilarious. But Fisher is not a guarantee good game against Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett. And some proof of that would be the first time these two teams played. Barrett gave him a lot of trouble. He doesn't always perform particularly well against strong pass rushers, guys that like to win with strength. And Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul are guys that like to run through guys. Matchup-wise, I think there's a possibility, and again, you hear all these caveats here. I think there's a possibility that Remmers can perform as well at left tackle as Fisher would against this particular group because of the variance in Fisher's play at times against elite competition and because of the variance in average offensive linemen. Mike Remmers is an average offensive lineman. On average, he's not as good as Eric Fisher, but there's variance in his game as well as Fisher's that might allow them to have an intersection there. And if it does, then I would make an argument that Andrew Wiley at right tackle is better than Andrew Wiley at right guard because of his skill set, his lateral agility, his length, his handwork. That type of stuff is stuff that's better suited for tackle. I thought he played better there against the Saints earlier this year against Cam Jordan than he had been playing at right guard. In the meantime, you bring in Stefan Wisniewski at right guard, where he's been playing better than Wiley. So you've upgraded the right guard position and maybe kept right tackle and left tackle at least roughly equivalent. That is a lot of mental gymnastics to go through, but if that goes down like that, it should largely be okay. And honestly, Andy Heck deserves a really big trophy if that's how it goes down.
Let me frame it to you in a different way then, because you're right. I mean, those are a lot of steps you went through. It made me feel better again, though. But let me ask it this way, I guess. What do you think the chances are that the offensive line is just in meltdown mode?
It's hard to imagine them having as bad a performance on the interior and on the left side as they did against the Niners last year. It's hard to picture because they got dominated last year on the interior and Fisher on the left side. Schwartz did great. Everywhere else, they got dominated. And it's hard for me to imagine them having that big a meltdown again. It really is. Maybe like against the Saints earlier this year might be a comparable thing, which was pretty close too. Yeah. So, I mean, we've only seen it happen a couple times, and both times against teams that I think on average are a little bit better pass rushing teams than the Buccaneers are, at least in terms of the way they win is with their front four, not by blitzing. The Bucs blitz a ton.
That's interesting. I wanted to kind of push you in that direction because I also think that if you are not particularly worried about that being the thing that tilts the scales against the Chiefs, that should also make people feel better. It's not without some gymnastics, but with less than the idea that this actually could be a good thing.
I'm worried.
Okay.
I'm worried, but maybe not as much as I could be.
That's fair. That's something that has come up a ton, will continue to come up a ton, and again, listen, everyone, just here's the thing. Here's the little secret. No one wants to tell you this. But you worrying about it, you listener right now, unless you are Andy Heck, you probably can't fix it. so why not on this one? This isn't even like a choice, right? This isn't even like I think they should draft blah 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 blah. It's just, hey, listen, we're gonna find out about the offensive and defensive lines facing each other. We'll find out about that before too long. Let's go to the other side of the ball here then, because I think we have to feel pretty good about the Chiefs' offense for all the reasons we've talked about in the last 20 minutes, and also you think the offensive line's not going to be the bottom Jenga block, at least, I imagine. So defensively, I mean, we've had these conversations a number of times throughout the last several weeks, but it feels like they have been in this sweet little kind of underrated pocket, and they've had some of the points that have been scored, especially in the playoffs, these last 2 years have been off of offensive or special teams malfunctions, and now they get this chance where you talk about the importance of getting pressure on the quarterback. I cannot wait to see what Spags has dialed up for how they're going to pressure Brady, and honestly, I don't think we can spend too much time on how excellent the secondary has been in terms of, like I believe you said here last week, the amount of trust the Chiefs have shown in all of their corners to match up with anybody.
Right. They've shown a lot of trust recently in their secondary, especially over the course in the playoffs. I got to tell you, if someone were to just turn on film of the Chiefs' defense in the playoffs and they were asked how this defense played all year, they would probably think that they were looking at a team that was talked about as one of the better defensive teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, styles make fights, so who knows? Maybe Josh Allen's just a certain proclivity. Baker Mayfield, certain proclivity. But Spagnuolo has a history of success against Tom Brady. Now, in those games of success, it's like, oh, he had a great game plan. Well, if you looked at the rosters of, like, those Giants teams.
Right,
like,
yeah, he had Michael Strahan, so that helps.
And they had some good players. And so, but he does have good players here, too. And I would say he probably, as of right now, Juan Thornhill playing as well as he did in the AFC Championship is huge. He played really well in the division round. It's just no one really noticed that as much because of all the other stuff that was going on, right? Him being back to form, and at least right now it looks like he is. He's playing like a Pro Bowl safety again. He's playing fast again. It looks like he's really come back from that ACL tear. And L'Jarius Sneed being healthy, playing primarily in the slot but moving him around a bit, it allows Tyrann Mathieu to roam everywhere again. He's not bound to the slot. He doesn't have to play deep. They don't have to play Dan Sorensen as a single high safety. They are able to use a very deep and talented secondary to play all over the field and match them up one-on-one, like you said, with anyone with a little bit of help because Thornhill has that range, which allows them to be incredibly aggressive, blitzing. And that's one area with the Bucs. Tom Brady's going to be a lot better at calling out protections pre-snap. He's also going to be a lot worse at escaping from pressure. And that's one thing. Josh Allen ran his way out of 5 or 6 sacks. So even if you say, well, Brady would, he'd get rid of some of those, right? By calling out better protections. He's also not going to run away from those 5 or 6 sacks.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. I think they're going to throw the house at him. And kind of similar to what people are saying the game plan should be for the Chiefs, I think they're going to tell Brady, you need to beat us by throwing the ball down the field. And he's much more capable at it than Drew Brees, but it's a similar plan to what they threw at Drew Brees. And just say, you've got to bomb it down the field. We're going to come after you, and we'll see if you can beat it.
I think that strategy makes a ton of sense. The one thing, and again, you touched on it, but I'd love to dig in more, is the idea that they showed so many different things to Josh Allen. This is all broken down in the Chief in the North newsletter. You should check it out at mnchiefsfan.substack.com. But they and also in The Athletic, actually. You cover this in both places. Honestly, at this point, I can't remember where your things are because I read all of them and I'm subscribed to everything, and it's great. But in some written form on the internet, you kind of dissected the way that they showed different looks to Josh Allen from the same looks with different results at the point of the snap, all sorts of different looks. They played super duper light. They played mostly with one linebacker, a ton of dime. Just all over the place. With that all kind of laid out, that strategy for Josh Allen made sense because that's Spags playing with a younger quarterback. Tom Brady is the opposite of Josh Allen in so many ways. That you said maybe he's able to pick up things before the snap. Maybe he's able to read and predict better. What's your level of concern in terms of if all that creativity will still be able to pay off against Brady?
I would say if that's someone's view on that, they should really check out that Week 12 matchup. Especially watch the first half because they were teeing off on Brady to the point that the announcers were like, "I'm not sure I've ever seen Brady get hit like this." Now they came around in the second half because Arians is an excellent coach and Brady is obviously who he is. So they started calling out better protections, picking up some of those blitzes, and having time to call deep shots. Worth noting, some of those passes were still in a position where they wouldn't be open at this point because Juan Thornhill wasn't playing like himself that game. That was one of the games where afterwards, I know on Times Ours, we had a conversation about him, just saying he doesn't look like himself. Ronald Jones ran right by him, and it was crazy to see a guy that in training camp his rookie year was running stride for stride with Tyreek Hill get outrun by Ronald Jones, right? And that's no disrespect to Jones. It's just, Tyreek Hill is who he is.
Right.
So they were able to disrupt Brady. And Spagnuolo, I've talked to a few people who know a lot more about the X's and O's than I do. And one quote that I saw on Twitter, and I asked a few people, and they agreed that I've never really heard about Spagnuolo before, is that he is one of the, and I've seen this myself, he's not married to any specific game plan. He has certain things he likes to do. He likes to bring pressure. He likes to shift coverages, but he is not married to any one specific game plan. And he's very, very good at formulating a one-off game plan, not around, all these other things, but around one opponent, one game plan, saying we're going to do a bunch of weird crap that you haven't seen before. And that's all you need in the Super Bowl, right? One great game plan. An example of that would be, Bill Belichick with that last Patriots ring where they took a Rams offense that was supposed to be completely unstoppable and had one game plan. And McVay wasn't ready for it. And he said later on, I just wasn't ready for it. And that's all you need. And I think Spagnuolo is going to throw a lot at Brady. I don't think the shifting coverages will affect him as much, but it's worth noting the Chiefs, the last few years when they've played Tom Brady, whether he's been with the Bucs or the Patriots, have picked him off at least once every time. And that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued by it. And also, this is probably a weird tangent, but how nice is it to say all those things that you just said about the Chiefs defensive coordinator after we had to deal with so many difficult conversations about Bob Sutton? Like, this just feels better.
They were very difficult conversations, and it really is. That's the thing that I know keeps me sane at night when I think about, right now the Chiefs could be playing for a three-peat. And it just keeps me sane knowing that maybe had D Ford not been offsides, they might not be in the position they're in, because Spagnuolo hasn't gotten as much buzz as you would think. He got a lot of buzz after the Super Bowl last year, and then that died down. I don't know if that's because the Chiefs had injuries or what, but he does not get, I don't think, enough credit for the fact that the defense in the span of 1 year went from historically bad to competent last year to competent this year and very good in the playoffs both years.
Yeah. I would have been tempted by some odds somewhere, in week 10 that odds the Kansas City Chiefs lose 2 coordinators to head coaching jobs. I would have been tempted by whatever that would have been in a way that makes it even more ridiculous that we are simply done talking about this team's assistant head coach, being Dave Tobe, ever getting a head coaching job. It just doesn't come up anymore. Spags would be a very reasonable sort of, I think Nate regretted saying it this way on Times Ours, but a retread option, a guy getting his second head coaching chance. And Eric Bieniemy has only been the most obvious head coaching candidate these last 2 cycles and just didn't get a job. Like, that is incredible. That of those 3, I mean, there was very little hype around anybody except for Eric Bieniemy, and then Bieniemy didn't get it either.
Yeah.
Not really a question.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
It was surprising.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I just basically monologued and didn't give you a question. I should have ended that
with
Seth, your thoughts, but it wasn't really a question. I just was talking.
No, it is. It's definitely true. It's insane to me that from all appearances, barring a miracle of some sort, the Chiefs are going to go into their 3rd year. Now, we'll see how the Super Bowl goes. Maybe they go into the 3rd year having just, quote unquote, made the AFC Championship one year, won the Super Bowl the next year, made the Super Bowl the next year, and still keeping your coaching staff intact. Largely, the defensive, they had this huge turnover. But offensive, I mean, they're keeping their coaching staff intact after 2 straight trips to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I've never even heard of that.
No, it's crazy. I mean, think about also the number of times that we've had conversations about consistency, right? Like, that's the real measuring stick for players, for coaches. It's the thing that makes Andy Reid's entire time in the NFL so incredible, is that he has been on the cutting edge for 2 decades. Like, all of that all together to say the Chiefs are getting the best possible and most consistent possible outcome from their coaching staff for essentially, we'll make it just these last 2 years to at least both end in Super Bowls, maybe 2 victories, at least 1, and nobody is saying I would like a piece of that. It's very, very strange. Also not a question,
right.
Just me talking again.
No, but it's just an interesting thing where it's like, is the stance that everyone's taking then like, well, Andy Reid is just so great that's right, because it wasn't until like last year that people stopped criticizing Andy Reid a ton as like the coach that can't win the big one and all that. Remember when Doug Peterson left for Philadelphia and it was, they're in trouble now because, Doug was really the secret sauce there. Well, that take did not age well.
Do you remember people saying that? I'm not sure I heard that, but I'm also not sure I was listening to the right people to hear that at the time.
I spend too much time on social media because I had many people asking me because Reid tries so hard to give his assistants credit that people were like, well, are we sure Doug Peterson didn't take over the play calling? And that's what I think. No, Andy Reid has never given up the play calling. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. Nope, not that time you're thinking of right now. Nope, not that either.
But what about when he...
No, never.
Oh, Seth, there's no way you remember that.
Yeah, never. Okay. He has allowed various moments where take this on. I'll confirm this, that, and the other thing. But Andy Reid, that offense is his baby. Yeah. You think he's just going to let anyone hold his baby? Of course not. That's his baby. So anyway, that was a long tangent. But, I mean, I just don't understand. That's the only argument I can see for it. But the reality is every head coach is either an offensive-minded or a defensive-minded head coach. And that's not stopping other Super Bowl coordinators from getting chances. And so I do think it'll be interesting after this year. Maybe people start talking about Spagnuolo saying, hey, what the crap? But at least with him, you've got the excuse that he did get 1 chance as a head coach and it didn't go very well.
Also, in an unideal situation, as many head coaching jobs are, obviously. I mean, it's a way easier case to make than what I would make for the argument against Bieniemy to say. But also, we haven't really talked specifically about L'Jarius Sneed. We're not going to have enough time to. Why don't you give everybody a little preview of what's coming out on the Chief of the North newsletter this week?
Sure. Basically, I crunched the numbers and looked at how the defense performed by expected points in the past defense, points given up, quarterbacks adjusted yards per attempt, and third down conversions with Sneed playing in games where Sneed played 40% or more of the snaps and games where he didn't. And I kind of found some interesting stuff. And so I'm kind of writing about what the defense has looked like with and without him. And what's interesting is without him, they played a bunch of really bad quarterbacks and Josh Allen, Derek Carr, and Teddy Bridgewater. Everyone else is just absolute garbage. And then with him, they played a bunch of really good quarterbacks and then a couple of bad quarterbacks. And it's interesting when you compare the numbers, they performed relatively equivalently with and without him, except just against a lot better quarterbacks with him. And so there's a lot to take away from that, right? Because how defenses perform against great quarterbacks, there should be a huge shift, right? Mm-hmm. And there wasn't, and especially on third down, they were markedly better. So I'm kind of writing about some of the things that he showed in the AFC Championship game that demonstrate how much he brings to the defense and why he's a player that might have an outsized impact on it. When they played in Week 12, he was in his first week back from injury, or his second week back, and was still playing more limited snaps than he plays now. And so I think there's just a lot of interesting stuff there in terms of how well he's playing and what he adds to the defense. So I'm going to write about that. And then we're going to think about some other unheralded players, maybe.
Sounds excellent. That's in the Chief of the North newsletter, mnchiefsfan.substack.com. I don't really care if you give me a score or not, but I want a heat check right now. I want a little confidence report. I want to know how you're feeling about the Kansas City Chiefs winning back-to-back Super Bowls.
The only outcome that would stun me would be the Chiefs getting blown out. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs won by 20. It wouldn't surprise me if the Bucs won a close game. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs won a close game. So we can take from that, my confidence is 67%.
At least you round up, At least you firmly round up there. You also got to protect your brand. You can't be saying that your confidence level is 66.6%. All of a sudden.
You know what I was doing there. I got to protect the brand, Josh.
Thank you, Seth. We'll talk to you again after the Super Bowl.
Sounds great. Hopefully it's a good one.
The Missouri Army National Guard can help you get the education you need to land the career you've always wanted. The Guard will pay up to 100% of your tuition for up to 39 credit hours per academic year at 90 colleges and tech schools across the state. You're eligible as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving part-time in the Missouri Army National Guard. Visit nationalguard.com today. Sponsored by the Missouri Army National Guard, aired by the Missouri Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you're thinking about New Orleans, why not let jazz cook for you?
Laissez le bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. That's what we do at Jazz. Papa Vic here to tell you about what's happening at your favorite restaurant, Jazz, a Louisiana kitchen. COVID still got you down? No worries. We're open. Come in and let Jazz cook for you. We've partnered with Proactive Protect to provide nanotechnology protection that sanitizes all our tables, chairs, and the interior of the restaurant. So come on in. Everybody is safe. Tired of your mama's cooking? Check out our website, jazzkitchens.com, and place your order online or through Menufy. Not comfortable coming in? Check out our dedicated curbside parking spots, and we'll bring the taste of New Orleans to your car. 3 locations, the original at 39th and State Line, and at Legends of Village West, our newest location in Independence at I-70 and 291, just east of the Cable Dahmer Arena. Jazz, with a Dixieland band and a sultry day and everybody.
Jazz, if you're dreaming about New Orleans, that Jazz do your cooking up for you.
Jazz, where there's always a party every night.
Winter is coming, so plan now to keep those bugs out with Augustine Exterminators. Now is the time to establish and or maintain a barrier around your house. Don't let it break down. At Augustine Exterminators, they have you covered. Augustine Exterminators is a family-owned, local business since 1966. All of their techs are certified in both Missouri and Kansas. In fact, check out their amazing reviews from all their KC area customers. They're also a Quality Pro and Green Pro company. Augustine also does carpet, rug, air duct, and tile cleaning. They have an excellent referral program as well. Refer a new customer, and you and they get $25 off their next service. That's right. Refer a friend, and you both get $25 off your next service. Shop and buy local with Augustine Exterminators. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online at AugustineExterminators.com. And Augustine is looking for qualified technicians. So call today at 913-359-8627. Harry's Razors just came out with their sharpest blades ever. But unlike other razor companies, they're not charging you more. Harry's new sharper blades are still as low as $2 each. You heard me right, just $2. How do they do it? Harry's owns a German factory that's been honing razor blades for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process, from research and development to the factory floor. It allows them to keep the prices lower. How confident are they? A 100% quality guarantee. You'll see it at harrys.com. Blades are even delivered directly to you. No getting unmasked and standing in line. They're delivered straight to your door, with or without a subscription.
And right now, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New customers get $5 off a Harry's trial set when you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, at harrys.com. That's a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for just $3, plus free shipping. That's razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for $3, shipped to you for free. Only at harrys.com, only with promo code PETRO.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash-out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. A new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 913-890-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Today on Hey Culligan, cleaner, safer drinking water. We got Chris in Cleveland.
Hey Culligan, I have a water pitcher. Is that safe?
Basic water pitchers are, let's say, passable, but a Culligan reverse osmosis system can do way more and help reduce lead, arsenic, something called pesticide runoff.
Hey Culligan?
Yeah, Chris?
I'll take one of those reverse
osmosis to get the mostest out of your drinking water? Chris, we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I don't know if today was a really good show or a really trash one.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We got a Facebook comment during that last segment with Seth Keysor saying that Seth has been the Chad Henne of today's show, closing it out with a bang. Really needed some help injury-wise, and Seth was that guy for us. Beards, it looked like you're about to say something smarmy, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity. No, we're good.
Okay.
Nothing. You sure?
I'm good.
All right. Also, right now on NFL Network, the Chiefs are down 20-10, almost the end of the third quarter in the Super Bowl. Hope the Chiefs can win their first one on Sunday, because they must have lost this one. I don't remember watching it or what happened here, but seriously, the pick at 13-10 stunk, and at this point, it just, I mean, they needed to do pretty much every single thing right, and then Patrick Mahomes just started leaping and throwing and jumping and spinning and outrunning Bosa and all sorts of wonderful, wonderful things. I'm gonna take some of Seth's energy there. I'm gonna continue feeling pretty good about where things are headed right now in terms of this game on Sunday. I know, listen, I mean, we're going to be able to continue to analyze and overanalyze and microscope in on every single individual element of this game. But as of right now, I'm not quite to where I got by Thursday against the Bills. By Thursday ahead of the AFC Championship game, I started kind of feeling like I don't know that I see the path for Buffalo. Right now, it's more like sort of what Seth was getting at there. I think he may have said this verbatim. The Chiefs have a large number of paths to victory. The Bucs have more than one, but it is still the more limited number of outcomes. The Chiefs could absolutely lose this game. That much is obvious. But I don't know why you would predict them to. That's kind of where I'm at this point. I can make a lot of arguments for the Chiefs for a lot of reasons, and we've been doing it for a week, and in some ways we've been doing it for a season, and we'll continue doing it for the rest of the week. But I don't know what the argument for the Buccaneers necessarily looks like. People just going, oh, Tom Brady. I think it might be, oh, Tom Brady, and it's Brady doesn't get pressured.
Rings.
It's rings. The argument, I think, is Brady doesn't get pressured in this game. The Buccaneers wide receivers versus Chiefs corners, advantage Buccaneers. And that's true. I think it's less than the Chiefs corners are going to get credit for pretty much anywhere. But it's that they control the line of scrimmage and Brady never gets hurried and the receivers get open when Brady has time. And also that maybe Mahomes gets pressured a bunch and his toe's not totally healthy. That's where it falls apart. I think I can try to build even little individual things. But you tell me, all right, these seven consecutive things are going to go exactly as Tampa needs them to. And then maybe they'll win. I feel pretty good about it at this point. Thanks again to Seth Keysor of the Chiefs of the North newsletter and The Athletic. If you missed any of that, you can check it out in the podcast form. AES.show or search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts, where you can also hear tonight's special show, Chiefs Legends at Chapel's Restaurant, Bar, and Sports Museum. It was me, Bobby Bell, and Bill Moss. That was great. Go listen to that if you missed it. Don't bother listening to the first hour of tonight's show. It wasn't very good. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Are fears of a stock market downturn preventing you from investing? Hi,